And speaking of Netflix, let's talk about Spaceman, which I am very disappointed, Ricardo, that you did not see, because I know you
I
sci-fi
heard.
nerd, sci-fi buff would have things to say about it.
I was probably gonna watch it, and then I saw it had bad reviews, and I just stayed away from it. So
All right. I understand the criticism, which I'll get into. I understand, right? First trailer drop, and I was like, okay, Adam Sandler doing the dramatic thing again, and we have to, acknowledge the fact that, because it's easy to look at Adam Sandler, with his decades long career. I just think, oh, it's just about comedies. But no, he has done dramas in the past, right? Punch Drunk Love, Uncut Gems, Hustle
Uncut
from a few years ago, right? Yeah, Uncut Gems is still on my to buy list, right? Because both that and Punch Drunk Love, which I still haven't seen, even though it's from PTA, I know, still haven't seen it. Yeah, they're on the Criterion Collection. I don't know, but like I always wanted to see that movie, but I just never got around to it, though. But yeah, I mentioned the Criterion Collection in this review here too, right? But yeah, but let's keep your expectations a little low, even though I mentioned the OG Criterion, right? But anyway. So yeah, I saw the trailer. I was like, okay, this is different. All right, kind of E24ish. Matter of fact, this is right up E24's wheelhouse, I would say, in terms of just this really bizarre premise. I'll get what the premise is in a bit, right? And also having a lead, like a big lead now, So somebody as big as Adam Sandler. Yeah, I was thinking that E24 would have pushed this out, because fun fact, E24 push out Uncut Gems. So it's like, all right, it's on Netflix. Okay. So I watched it when it came out, and I'll share my thoughts on it, right? So what it's about? It is about this. Well, you can tell me if it's the right term, right? Cosmonaut. Well, he's from Czechoslovakia, right? So it's
cosmonaut, yeah.
Right. Okay, right. His name is Jakub, right? He leaves his wife. His pregnant wife Lenka, who is played by Oscar nominee Carey Mulligan, right? To go on the space mission, right? And he has been there for about 6 months, right? And it investigates. All right, so I just read it up here.
Is it in the vein of like weird like Soviet sci-fi, because those were pretty creepy and weird back in
I will talk about Soviet sci-fi with this, right? Because there's the guy, right? The big director, that is synonymous with that this show reference, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that they reference him, stylistically in this film, right?
Yeah.
So basically, he is sent to investigate this interstellar cloud, right? It's called Chopra, right? And it's near, I should say, beyond the Jupiter, right? So I should also mention too that it's him by himself in the spaceship. He is being monitored by it's this particular company itself. It's in the near future, right? And it's run by Tuma, who is played by Isabella Rossellini. I was like, hey, you still locking? All right, cool, good. Okay, you always remember her from shows like Blue Velvet, right? Yeah. So she kind of running the show and whatnot, right? It's like this research thing, right? This research institute kind of thing that is funding this project, right? And the idea is that they just want to investigate this thing. They're not sure what damage at all it could bring or what it means or whatnot. So he just up there figure it out, right? He is also monitored by this technician by the name of Peter, who's played by my boy Kunai Naya. It's like, hey, you with this too? Like, hey, cool. Who you remember as Raj from one of your favorite shows, Big Bang Theory. I was like, hey, Kunai, just still doing that acting thing, man. Keep it up, right? But while he is up there, they set up early on how lonely he is, right? He is thinking about his wife, and I should say, speaking of the wife too, Lenka feels this burden because she fears that she's going to give birth to this child, and she's gonna be like her husband's not gonna return, like something's gonna happen to him, and he will never come back, right? Or he will constantly be stuck in space, doing this job basically, and he will never return home, right? So she has her own burden to deal with, right? And there's some little insidious going on with the research institute as well, too. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it kind of adds to the loneliness that both characters are feeling, right?
Right.
So
But
one
just before we continue, to be clear, Matthew was quite sarcastic about that. I think you played that a little too straight. Um, about my liking of Big Bang Theory.
yes, I was being sarcastic, folks, right? In case
Yeah.
you know.
You played that a little too straight.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. That was the point, right?
I say to dog the sarcasm by 30%, Matthew. Another sci-fi reference.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So one night, Yakub is having trouble sleeping and he hears this weird noise. And he wakes up, he goes, and he sees a big ass spider.
Okay.
Who is voiced by Paul Dano. And the moment I saw he was in this,
as well.
yeah, Paul Dano as the spider's like, alright, yeah, he on shit. Because every time Paul Dano was in the show, like, yeah, you was on shit, right? I mean, we just talked about Mr. and Mrs. Smith a few weeks ago, but yeah, you on shit. Right. But anyway, and he's a talking spider, right? But it's not like he's basically like man size, right? And
okay, yeah, big.
All right, so just to jump into the review here, right? So the joke I make is that this should be called Nikki Darko, right? Reference to
right.
Nikki Donnie Darko, right?
Darko, right?
Yeah,
Nikki, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm by the way, love Donnie Darko. You know, during my 2000s phase of looking for cult films, I discovered that on Showtime, fell in love with it.
Right.
Now I own the box set for it. I love that film so much, right? But yeah, similar to Donnie Darko, it is about this guy who kind of feels like he has no place in the universe. He just sort of just there, existing, right?
Right.
And this weird creature shows up and he talks similar to like how the guy in the bunny suit does in Donnie Darko.
Right.
A sort of hushed voice like, hey, Yakub, you know, or as you call him, Skinny Human. It's like, what are you doing, Skinny Human? And you know, it's Paul Dano sounding all creepy and weird, right? Yeah. And
aka Paul Dano.
Yeah, well, yeah, Paul Dano, right? And you know, it kind of it kind of just all boils down to Yakub understanding, hey, this is what really matters, right? And it's spoiler alert, it's in relation to the same interstellar cloud that he has to investigate, right? So to get the good out of the way, right? I thought that the direction for this was strong, right? It's actually from Johan Renck. He's a Swedish director, not familiar with his work at all, right? But I thought that, you know, just visually, it looks solid, right? But I should mention too, this is not interstellar. It's not an interstellar budget film, right? So external shots, the shots of space, they look like space. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of hard to describe, especially when you see the cloud itself. Is like, yeah, that just looked like some, I don't want to say After Effects stuff, but it looked clearly like CG. It didn't look like you see like how Christopher Nolan really went out of the way to make everything look as realistic as possible. Like the
but it does it have the Soviet style aesthetic or something like that? Because again, I'm willing to defend this because you want to tell me cosmonaut, like, oh, it might be that,
right? Well,
that kind of unusual and you know, aesthetic and style,
right?
And which is quite cheap because, you know, it was the Soviet Union, but so, you know.
Yeah, well, that's actually what I'm about to tell you now, right? So, also, yeah, you know, from the opening shot, I saw Andrei Tarkovsky in that, like, just because what even though I have to like slap myself for this, right? I haven't seen his sci-fi films though. I think there was. I saw one of his films. It wasn't sci-fi. It was just like this art film that he did in the early 80s. I think it's called The Mirror, right? But I've never seen Stalker. No, actually, I saw Solaris, but that was like years ago.
Yeah,
I think that was around the time when the remake was coming out that Soderbergh did, and I wanted to see that too, but I hear that was kind of iffy and it wasn't like the old film. So I was like, all right, well, I go about it.
No, well, yeah, I only saw Stalker and Solaris of Tarkovsky's films. Like, I like Tarkovsky, but I don't love him all that much.
Right.
He's one of those two there, you respect them. You
respect you respect him, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I don't like pull from him now, if you know what I mean.
Well, same here too, right? But yeah, Stalker has been on my to watch list for years. I really need to watch that, right? But yeah, the point we get at is that, you know, even though it is the future and it involves space, Andre always loved to focus on nature, right? It's always about what's going on Earth, how people are feeling. He always emphasizes on the human feelings, about the emotions that's going on, not so much about the external stuff, right? And and thanks to the spider itself, right? Well, you know, again, because, you know, it's weird, right? Yeah, he's right. So basically, the spider kind of it's not so much feeding off of it, but how to say it? It's almost like he's an antenna for Yakub's memories. So the spider is seeing the flashbacks and he's asking questions. He's trying to understand the relationship between him and his wife, right? So that's really the heart of the film, right? Their relationship, right? But he's trying to understand it like, oh, is this how humans react? Is this how you react when, this is how love is? This is how heartbreak is, that kind of stuff, right? And then, they mention, it's stuff involving the pregnancy itself, right? And what that means to them too. So he is learning about the, humanity and all that kind of stuff. And I would lie, right? Like the first time you see, like the first set of interactions between the spider and Yakub were kind of hilarious to me though, because of just how weird it is though. It is, and is Yakub just played it kind of straight, almost like he's drugged up in a sense, but it works, right? Because the idea is that he's lonely, he's sort of like in his head all the time, right? So he's not like freaking out all the time, right? Even though he does the first time he sees it, right? I actually like how he responds the first time he sees the spider crawling about, right? But when he starts talking to him though, it's just so weird, but kind of funny at the same time. But it's really Paul Dano who kills it though. Well, the character's name, the spider's name is Hanus. And they actually give the story into who Hanus is. I can't remember what it is, right? But I don't know if it is true. I guess you will have to tell me or you have to look it up. But apparently he built this clock, and it's this weird story, right? But I think it is based on a real figure, right? But that's all I know.
Right.
Yeah. And it's just the first set of interactions was just pretty funny because the way how Paul talking to him in this really hushed tone, and Adam as Yakub just like, all right, this is weird to me, but you know what? I just gonna roll with it. I don't know what happened here, but whatever, right? But then when it starts to go in depth into the relationship, right, and why it was breaking apart, why it was falling apart before he even flew out in the first place, that's when the show really works, right? That's when you really see the heart of it, right? And then just to touch on the Soviet style, I know it's drawing from it. I'm not sure from what exact film or if it's exactly Tarkovsky, right? But it does this really great sort of like, I know it's done in post, right? But it's almost like it's a fisheye lens, right? But the left and right sides are warped, right? So it's almost like what's in the direct middle, right? Whether it's two people or one, it's always in pure focus, but everything else looks kind of warped around it, right? So every time he is recalling memories, he sees that.
Right. Where's color again? But it's never mind. Spotlight. I forget the term for that.
I should really look up. I should really look up what it is, though. But it's a great technique that they use, and it adds to the artsiness of it as well too. Because it's artsy, but it's good artsy. It's good artsy. Like they will throw any. It has this really moody music, which is done by Max Richter. I know the name before. I know he's a.
Max Richter.
Yeah, Max Richter. He did. Let me see what he did.
He wasn't the drummer for Conan.
Is he? Let me see.
No, that's Max Weinberg. And,
okay.
Andy Richter. A confusion. Andy Richter was Conan Psychic and Max. Okay, so there's two people are confusing.
All right. Yeah. So actually reading up his work, right? He did the score. Well, he did the soundtrack for your show, The Leftovers, which I still need to get into. He did the score for Ad Astra, which we covered and we really enjoyed, right?
Top space show.
Yeah. Top space show. He even did the score for a show that I remember you was real iffy about, Invasion. I remember you talked about the first couple episodes, like, nope, I good.
Yeah, Invasion's kind of trash. I mean, it got a little better, but it still ain't doing nothing for me, to be honest.
Okay, yeah. So I thought that his score was very effective, though, in terms of just capturing the surrealness and the loneliness that this character, the surrealness of the story itself, and the emotion and the loneliness that this character is feeling, right? Adam Sandler, I thought that he wasn't excellent in this, but I thought that he was decent enough for the role. I'll talk about one major nitpick that I have with him. It was very noticeable. I couldn't ignore it, right? Carey Mulligan, fine as well, as Lenka as well too. I think the reason why I'm saying that too is because of how subdued these performances are, right? So they're not like Oscar worthy, but they're serviceable. They work in the service of the film itself, right? And yeah, Paul Dano sound good with the weird, creepy ass voice anyway. But
Right.
you
I
buy
can't
into him
remember.
as
You
this
were
creature.
talking about this. You were talking about this. It remind me of what do you call it? Sam Rockwell Moon. a few years
Oh
back.
right, you know which I have not
You know,
seen.
this one guy,
literally
and
since
it's our
it came out.
a really popular actor. When it was Kevin Spacey doing the voice of the thing for the AI, and they make it weird and creepy. It reminded me of that a little
Yeah.
bit. But I want to give this a chance, but again, I see so many bad reviews
Well-
from people who I generally like their opinion. So
All
it's
right.
like,
Well, I'm
I'll watch it eventually.
yeah, I'm gonna get to the major but because there's something that
Right.
really, really holds this film back, right? So
Mhm.
yes, while and I want to say I'll give one last bit of praise for this, right? I could see this actually being in the Criterion Collection one day. I could see it. That's the best compliment I could give this because. Because fun fact, they actually have Solaris and Stalker in the collection already, right? And yeah, I mean, Adam Sandler is no stranger to the collection. As I mentioned, Uncut Gems and Punch Drunk Love, right?
Right.
But because Netflix shows usually get released, or I should say, certain Netflix shows get released through Criterion, like case in point, The Irishman, that was released there, thanks to them, right? Yeah, I could see this, being released in the near future, though, and I could see. In the long run, people looking back at it and be like, I think we were kind of harsh on this. So, like this show is actually really good. Like we probably was hard on it back then when it came out, but nah, like
Right.
there's greatness in it. Like they could look at it and it could be like a cult film or whatever it is in their future, right? But what holds this movie back, and I'll throw the perfect example for this, is Interstellar.
Right.
We could laugh for days about how hokey it was, that love is the strongest force in the universe, blah 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 blah.
Right.
Okay, and by the way, note to self, right? Because that movie will be turning 10 years old, and I find it so amazing. It's going to be in the same year where, calling it now, Nolan going to walk home with an Oscar. Yeah, we should really recap Interstellar. I would love if we could talk about that though. Like what do you think?
Sure. Yeah.
What do you think?
No, yeah, it's up to you.
All right, but yeah, you just gotta say something about me being wrong or something about Nolan though.
No. Yeah, no, I say no. It's the opposite. I think so.
Okay.
I really think he'll. I can't see. We had precedent that he won't have a strong night, Oscar night.
Right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So with Interstellar, right? Even with the whole love stuff and the dimension, whatever dimension it was, right? Remember the mission at the end of the day was the Earth is dying. They need to get humans to a new planet to colonize it, or else they die, right?
Right.
So there were stakes involved.
It's that whole thing solving a problem. Yeah, and all of that. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, there was none. It was just
It's
just cloud.
So the cloud was not threat to anything like that.
Exactly. It's just purple clouded sky. We don't know what it is.
But is the
find
cloud
out.
again? But is the cloud like really a actually objective thing, or is it just like something in his mind and that?
Oh well. All right. Well. Spoiler alert. No, it is real. It is real, right?
Okay.
But I should mention thing. What another positive I have to give you, Phil, right? I love that it keeps certain things ambiguous, right? Similar to Donnie Darko, right? So there's a hint at what could be causing Adam's character to see the spider in the first place, right? But then you have to think about it, even if it's that, you can kind of understand in terms of the sort of a therapy session that he is having with this creature, right? I actually love shows where, it's, loneliness in space, that just lost in space, but loneliness in space, is a character kind of coming to terms with himself or herself or whatnot, right? And usually is in the form of some non-human, right? Whether it's AI or in this case, a creature, right? So I love that, right? But yeah, the end of the day, it was just about to check to see if this thing was good or bad. But to the spider, there's a meaning to that interstellar cloud, right? And it's like, all right, okay, but to everybody else who seen this thing in the sky is like, well, all right, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. You know what I mean? I think that really is what held it back, right? But although this show is based off of a novel, right? So I don't know if this is exactly how it was, right? I'm not saying they should have changed it up for the sake of it, right? But again, there was just no stakes involved. It's just he up there, he did for a while. All right, I'll put it in the most blunt way possible, right? Pregnancy aside, at the end of the day, the man was just doing a job. He was just out. He was just doing the work for like some months. And the show sort of acts as if he will never come back, you know. But it's like, well, no, you know, he will come back, you know. He may not be there for his child's, you know, birth, but he will come back, you know. But, you know, the show kind of play it out like he will never return. It's like, no, he just doing that job now, you know. But if there were like real stakes, like if, you know, I don't know, like a meteor or something like this was gonna crash, then yeah, okay, then you could raise the stakes and be like, wow, if this guy, if Adam's character does not return, then wow, then I'm gonna raise his child my own, and you know, the way like it will have more emotional stake to it there. But it's just go explore this thing and that's it. Okay, you know what I mean? So I know that is something that will be a disappointment for people when they see it. It's just like, well, really, you just went up there and you just learned, oh, you just need to be in this person's life more. All right, okay, that's it, you know. Okay. And then last gripe that I have with this before I wrap up. Not knocking Adam as a great dramatic actor, but I could not buy into him sounding European at all. He just sounded like himself.
Yeah, he can accent too.
Yeah.
So I don't get why do the European thing just to do the Tarkovsky stuff?
That's why I don't understand, because
play in America.
Yeah, that's what right. That's what I was telling myself, because I look at the name, right. I thought, well, okay, he's Jewish, okay, no problem, right? But how I saw it when I went into the film, I thought like he was an American. He went to Czechoslovakia. He met, you know, Carey Mulligan's character, married her, and then the story begins there. But it's like, a reason why I bring this up too, because there's a subplot, that's why I think, where they say like legit he is a citizen. He is a citizen of he's a Czech citizen. I'm like, really? But he sound like Adam Sandler though, just, you know, not in an animated way, but in a really worn down way. But he does not sound like he has an accent at all. And at times, just like, you know, I kind of let it slide at times, but at times I'm like, nah, man, like, put a little effort in it, bro. Like, understand, your shtick is, okay, I could do comedy, straight comedy, but I could also do drama, but I sound the same. But he could have put a little effort into at least sounding different, you know what I mean? And not knocking his acting. It's just the accent, well, I should say his voice, that accent really. It's just like, no, you just sound like Adam Sandler, like, what going on, right?
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, right, while this show didn't reach the heights I know it was reaching for, it wanted to reach for, sorry. I still admire this film though. I didn't have any issues watching the film, like, you know, outside of the nitpicks that I mentioned as well too. I saw the passion that went into it, and I really, really appreciate how it, you know, it was harkening back to that you know, late 70s art house sci-fi style, right? And I just like the fact that shows like this exist, right? Again, you know, talk about movies existed, right? Yeah, you know, in 2024, you know, we have a film that is an art film, right? But it's also sci-fi as well, right? And of course, it's not gonna please everyone. People might find it to be boring, or people might find it to be a little too pretentious, or, you know, not giving enough, you know, a little too ambiguous as well. I think that'll be the main issue with some people. I didn't mind the ambiguity in it at all. I like the fact that the show didn't even explain where the spider came from in the you know, in the grand scheme of things. We still don't know, right? But I like that the show just sort of leaves it at that now. Very Donnie Darko-esque in my opinion, right? But even though it didn't reach the heights that it wanted to though, I still felt it. You know, it's a nice emotional ride, so to speak. But really, really for me though, why I can't give it a lot of praise though, is that it feels familiar. Like I've seen this before. I mentioned Interstellar. That's like the perfect example of it. Where yes, it's about this amazing space travel and stakes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's about love, right? You know, you could laugh for the whole love subplot in Interstellar, but I felt like it just kept things grounded. It really added to the weight of what Nolan was telling in that film. It's about love, and that's pretty much it. And yeah, the guy had to understand, the protagonist had to understand, why it's important, you know, why you know, it's important to be in somebody's life, and you need a friggin' alien spider to tell you that. Okay, cool, but then what? You know what I mean? So it's like that. I would still say check it out though. It's on Netflix right now, so yeah, give it a look. So rating wise for me, strong 3 out of 5. But it's alright. But I know you, Ricardo, you watch this and be like, no, this is boring. Been there, seen this. I know how the show got end. Interstellar clouds will work like this.
Right,
I know
right.
you will rip apart that show, but what I would say for you,
No,
you know,
as I said, I in the camp of like, as I said, I saw the reviews. I saw a couple of people review, and it's more like I don't like watch reviews necessarily. I just see like, oh, this fella on my a couple of forums I might frequent be like, yeah, this is crap, or this is they give it a bad rating or whatever it is. Oh yeah, okay, moving on.
yeah, I totally understand though, but there's heart to it, there's merit to it, right? You could tell that again, you know, they draw it from a great place, you know, Soviet art or sci-fi great, you know. And as I said before, yeah, I think that this actually could be in the collection one day, in the criteria collection one day, and people could look back and be like, yeah, this have meaning to it. I like it, right? But it doesn't reach the heights of, say, you know, Interstellar, for example, right? Where
Right.
yes, okay, the emotional stuff makes sense and it's heartwarming and all that kind of stuff.
So
But
my thing with
is the stuff
Interstellar, my
is the
thing,
stuff surrounding it though that
right?
should have yeah, we
I
should have
don't,
cared more about the
right.
stuff going around the story itself, right? Not just
No,
oh, it's about
yeah,
the relationship, you know what I mean?
yeah. As I say, I didn't think Interstellar, but like I actually like a lot of Interstellar. It's just where
Me too.
it really, yeah, where it didn't. I didn't think it stick the landing, especially the big sequence at the end. Is like, all right, they could have handled this a little better. But I find most of Interstellar works, most of it.
Me too.
Uh,
Like I still love the
yeah.
film. I own it on Blu-ray, right? But
Yeah, I
uh,
generally defend the movie because
right.
when it's good, it's very good.
Yeah. I imagine it was kind of difficult to adapt this. Like I thought that the filmmakers did a solid job as is though.
Yeah.
But again, I just don't know if the conceit is exactly the way how it was in the book with that interstellar cloud. But again, I'm not
Sure.
asking for meteors or, you know, the end of humanity, but just at the end of the day, it's just a man doing a job, Dread. The way how they play
Right.
it off there is like he have to do this, and if he doesn't return, it's like, well, he was gonna return, you know what I mean? It's just some chicanery going on, and that's why he is in the position he's at, right? But it's not anything life threatening, so to speak, right? But again, no weight in terms of what was going on outside of the you know the internal stuff going on with Adam's character, right? But that's not to say the show is outright trash or anything like that. But again, it's not gonna be for everybody. It's gonna be a little too arty for some, a little too boring for some. But I admire it, man. So I say, you sci-fi fan, check it out, Ricardo. I know you'll have a lot of negative things to say about it, but I admire the effort. That's what I'll say. I admire the effort.